So Tana's going to talk through the ministry update. Cheryl wasn't able to be here this morning, but I thought it was very important that we lead off with one of the most important parts of our church. So here you go.
Good morning, everyone. And as Mark said, Cheryl's home doing a ministry to her daughter and her family, which she always does. And we wanted to first show you how the blessings that have been given to Prairie Bible are being shared in the community. If we get to that slide. Okay, so a great deal of money, or the largest portion, has gone to either local food banks or local homeless shelters earlier in the year. Secondly, we've given money to Christian education through the Faith Academy in Iowa City that teaches to underserved children, and also to campers for the Youth for Christ camps that they'll be holding this summer. And we are all very privileged that they are having camps. We also have donated to the local health services and as well to just general Christian education. So a big thanks to all of you for helping Prairie Bible be a blessing. And beyond the dollars, I wanted to also give a shout out to Nancy Zahn for leading the mask ministry. Nancy and others literally made hundreds of these to help others be and feel safe. So thank you, Nancy and her team. I also want to thank everybody that donated to the food drive. That was just a huge, overwhelming success. We were able to help some individual families, and we also were able to help several individuals at Geneva Towers who didn't have the means to get out. The buses weren't running at all, so they couldn't go shopping, and we were able to take the lion's share of the food to Geneva Towers, downtown Cedar Rapids, where they needed the food. So thank you for everyone's donations to those causes. There's so many other behind-the-scenes ministries that go on. You guys are just loving on each other. So thank you so much for giving to Prairie Bible so we can be a blessing to others.
All right, thank you. So next I just wanted to go through the financial update, and this is going to be just a brief, high level. But if any of you have any questions, feel free to email me. We have spreadsheets. We've got we put all of our financials through A1 Accounting. And for those who don't know, Larry Fenner has donated his services from his company to actually manage all of our financial books, which is a great blessing to us. So any information you want, we pride ourselves on trying to ensure that we're fully transparent here. So if there's additional information you want, please just let me know. So first off, this is the first 5 months of the year, and right now where we're at with their general fund giving is $97,776. So, I just want to thank the people of Prairie Bible that have, even through this pandemic and uncertain times, have just continued to give of the tithes and offerings. Our expenses have obviously been down this month, just due to everything that's going on, but where that's left us is right now, year to date, we are actually positive in the black by $19,418. And actually, based on our budget that we came up with last December, we were supposed to basically just broken even at this time. So we've been blessed greatly. Thank you very much. Okay, Tyler, you're going to take me to the next slide.
Maybe we can afford a new pointer, Mark.
That's right. That might help out. So just in terms of where that leaves us overall is, so that bottom line is essentially, so what do we have in operating funds? So this is not the capital dollars. The capital's held at totally separate accounts, but our operating funds, right now we have $169,855 in the bank. And this includes the carryovers from prior years. So we're in a very, very healthy position as a church. Okay. So next I want to just talk about the building update for a few minutes, and if you haven't got the chance to go in and take a look, please do. Right now we're nearing the finish line, if you will. There's a lot of stuff's done. I would say the bathrooms are about 80% done. All of the painting is complete. The air conditioners, heating system is almost fully complete. The electrical still got some work to do, but that's kind of one of the finishing areas. So we've got a lot of things done. The picture that Tom had pointed out over here, that's up on the screen, this is a preliminary. We're still working through some of the details of what the front stage area looks like, if you will, and the cross and some of those details. But the rest of the area is pretty much, this depicts it very well. So Tyler, if you want to go to the next one. One more. So what's happening coming up? So they actually did start drop ceilings a little bit on Friday, but by the end of this week, they'll have the majority of the drop ceilings put in all the spaces, which is, so basically we're not doing anything on the worship space, or on the, on the gathering space or on the education space, because we're planning to do that ourselves just to save some dollars. But on the worship space, the bathrooms, the entryways, all that drop ceiling will be done here by the end of this week. The next step is, and they start going through a lot of the finish work. That includes doors, covers on some of the steel posts, a lot of different finishing work. If you go to the next one. Glass package, which is a glass back wall, and the vestibule doors. That should be in by the middle of July. Truss insulation. So we had a generous donor who came forward and said they were willing to donate to get the trusses put in. So that originally fell below the line, but since we were able to fund that separately, we've got 8x10 timbers coming in, and they'll be installed on the 20th. And then finally, so there was a decision, initially we were not going to put carpet down. We thought we'd save the dollars, kind of get into space. If you've been in that worship area, there's a lot of echoing in there. And we're actually working with an audio consultant, and he came back and ran through computer models, and he said you basically have to put carpet in there, to get that area quieted down and so that it'll be good acoustically. So we decided to go ahead and put carpet down, so that'll be installed right at the end of the month. And that takes us to our estimated completion of August 2nd. And for that, I guess the biggest thing there is there's still a lot of moving pieces, though that August 2nd is, we believe we'll have occupancy permit and be ready to go in, but those dates can move around a little bit. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to talk just briefly about the capital campaign, and then we'll stop and just open it up. And Tom's got some mics, and we can answer questions, and you can put Tom on the spot since I'm moving through this pretty quickly. But so given to date, so this is the cash we received on the capital campaign, is $623,545, which is just pretty amazing. The next, you can see that our additional pledged is another $467,000. So our total is a little over $1 million right now that the people of Prairie Bible have either given or pledged. So that's definitely worth another round of applause. So right now, we're working through some of the final dollars, but we paid $1.2 million for the building and for the land where we're on. The renovation, and the renovation includes architect fees. There's a lot of things actually baked into that: furniture, audio equipment, video equipment, everything. But right now, that's looking at right around $1.793 million. So you can see, we've got a ways to go, and that's why we've got a mortgage with the bank, and we'll continue working through that. But overall, the financials on the capital side have come along extremely well too. So I'm going to stop right there before we kind of go into the next topic and just open it up for questions. I guess the one thing that I've had several people ask me, and this is a good place where I'll put Tom on the spot too. So Tom, pay attention. So early on, it's been 2 months ago or so, we had an offer for the land that's the 2 acres to the south. And actually, maybe even back in January or February timeframe, we had an offer. At that time, the admin board said, no, we're not at a point where we think we need to sell that. We're not sure about future expansion. And then basically COVID hit, we got concerned, we kind of shut down the capital campaign because we didn't feel it was the right time as a church to be going out soliciting dollars due to all the uncertainty. And then in about 6 weeks or so ago, the same person came back and said, hey, they'd still be interested, and we're offering us some parking options on it. And that was the email that went out to the full congregation. So the congregation unanimously approved us moving forward with selling that. The realtor has run into some issues just in terms of where she's prioritizing and where her projects are at. So she still is very interested, but right now the timing exactly when she's willing or able to buy it is later fall, even potential beginning of next year. So Tom, do you have any things you'd like to add to that?
You summed up very well. I think the only comment I would make is I've been talking to her about once a week about it. I personally still think that she is the best partner for us, if you will, to sell it. We've had some discussions as a big board about maybe we just put it on the market and sell it to whoever, the first person that comes with cash in hand. But because she owns the rest of the block around the church, I mean, the whole block that our church is on, she owns all the rest of that and has control then of right to the east of our property. I think the more we can be neighborly and hopefully cooperate with her, I think the better it's going to be for us in the neighborhood, if at all possible. And so just having discussions with her about sharing that it's obviously not just me negotiating or even our admin team, it's the whole congregation, and asking for her that we just need to know a commitment. If she doesn't think this is going to happen, we understand, then we'll go a different direction. Even if it's going to take a little longer from a cash standpoint, if she commits that this is what she's going to do sooner rather than later, then that allows us to tie it up. We're comfortable with that. So we're having that discussion. I just talked to her last week, and I try to talk with her about once a week just to kind of confirm where she's at and follow up with it. But that's kind of the detail of making sure that hopefully she's the best partner we can make that work with. And then obviously that adds to the dollars that we were able to put towards the capital campaign.
So this is the time for questions. We've got one more subject area we want to just talk about, but if anybody's got questions on the building.
Hold the mic up close. There you go.
I don't think it's on. I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I don't get it. Hold on just a second. Ryan, you got mic 1? Okay, there we go. We're live now. Sorry.
Does the sale of that lot, are those numbers reflected in those numbers?
No, they are not. So everything you saw is assuming that we haven't sold the land. So essentially what that would do is, it would drop down what we'd have to do for a loan. Good question.
A week ago, you had that garage sale to sell off the excess property. How'd that go?
I'm looking for Randy.
Right here.
There he is.
It went great.
That means it sounds like he bought most of the stuff, Francis. You catch that?
Randy was one of them that said, well, if you're going to do a meeting at the end of June, and I'm sitting out there in the hot, let's keep it short. So he's keeping a short answer, I guess.
It went really well. It wasn't a huge moneymaker. Our objective was to get rid of items that the building committee had indicated we didn't need to save. So we really got through. We got rid of almost everything. Our major items right now are the oak, the solid oak doors. Most of them have frames. There's plenty of trim to go with them. But we haven't found a use for those. And we have some 1-inch oak boards that we haven't been able to move. And we have some wood molding. We think the Restore folks will probably want that. They're just backlogged in getting out to take a look. So I would say it was very successful. Special thanks to Emil and Jan for helping out with that. And Emil keeps getting rid of other pieces. He just got rid of 2 more doors this week. So we're progressing, Francis. Thanks for asking.
Other questions about anything, finances, building, T-shirts, whatever the question might be? When can we get T-shirts? Megan, did you hear that? Megan's not listening to me. It's not the first time that's been that way. New T-shirts. We'll get them on order. There's a couple other people that talked about that and said maybe this fall be a great kickoff. Hopefully we get in the building and we'll get another order going. I think it'd be awesome. And it was T-shirts, sweatshirts, those kind of things too. Any other questions?
Good.
Craig, I got one question. You think next week you could shower so we could stand a little closer to you? Oh, he's off, so he can't answer. Okay.
All right, so the final slide here, just so based on the great news in terms of where we're at in the building, what does that really mean for when we'll be able to move back into the building? And so the admin board has met, had a long discussion on that. The ministry board just met this week, also had a long discussion. There's some different possibilities that have been put forward. I would say Craig and I visited on it again yesterday afternoon, and we just felt, we're not at a point where we think it's wise to make a decision right now. We're still at least 5 weeks out before we'd be able to be in. I would have told you a week ago if the things were really kept progressing like they were in Jones and Lynn County that, things were looking strong. Obviously right now they've seen some spikes. Hopefully it's a momentary one. So the net of it is right now we're not ready to say, hey, here is our plan. But stay tuned for the, Megan's ministry moment she puts out or Craig's update. I mean, we want to do it responsibly. One of the big questions is mass required? Are they, do you segment? Do you do multiple services? There's a lot of different approaches. And, we've looked at a lot of different churches, and it seems like, as many churches as there are, everybody's got a different approach. A lot of people are doing, you have to pre-register if you want to go to church on Sunday. Craig is, and I 100% agree with him, just doesn't feel like that's the right thing that we should be doing as a church. And so the idea is can we make it work here? If we could find a plan that was satisfactory by the beginning of August, then as soon as we move in, we'd likely do that. I mean, the other side of things is, other than it may get a little warm, I mean, what a beautiful setting, right? I mean, you couldn't hardly ask for much better in terms of a place to worship. So I guess this is an area where, be happy to take some inputs and thoughts, whether it's today, but be praying about it to try to discern what, God's will is for us in this too, in terms of, how we're able to worship together in our new building, but being able to do it responsibly. So questions on that?
Everybody fell asleep, or there's no questions? One back here.
Well, will we be able to keep the FM part alive, maybe? And so if we have too many people show up, is there some way we can work that out for, pouring out into the parking area and stuff too,
Great question. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that everybody agreed on within our two boards was that as we open, we would not go into the building unless, number one, we were able to stream it live, like we're doing now over Facebook, so that people could watch it from their home. And we would also have the ability to use the FM just like we're doing now, so that if people got there, you walked in the door, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot more people here. I thought, I'm not comfortable with this. We don't want anybody to go home. You can sit out in the parking lot and listen to it on your radio. So that's a great question, Donna. Those two things we would definitely have in place before we moved in. Any other questions? Well, if not,
I will make one comment, Mark. You said, and I will speak for my father a little bit on that, in that there's no reservations for this space through the rest of the summer. And so if it ends up dragging a week or two, or we're more comfortable as a church doing that, it's no problem. I will make one warning. As we get into later in the summer, it will be hay season, and we'll be looking for volunteers to put hay in the top of the barn on Sunday afternoon. So if we want to stick around in this space, just realize that may be part of the payment. Right, Hannah? The more help, the better.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, thank you, everybody.